was hired to do student athlete services and academic support and those types of things, I was helping with game management. I had an idea about how the budget worked. I was involved with compliance-related activities. So it really gave me a broad base of experiences that I necessarily wouldn't have had at a bigger school. You know, at a bigger program like Cal, if you're doing compliance, you're just doing compliance. You come to your office, you're doing that work, you're doing that task, and a lot of reasons why is they have staffing to take care of other things. A smaller program like St. Mary's, pretty much all the athletic administrators have to be pretty well-rounded and balanced to be able to do different things. So I was fortunate enough to get that experience. This would have been in March of 2006. I was promoted to the athletic director position, and at the time I was the youngest Division I athletic director. I was 29 years old at the time, and I'm no longer the youngest, so just so you guys know. But at that time I was, and it's been a wonderful experience. The scope of the job at St. Mary's, we have 17 programs. We have 360 plus student athletes. What's somewhat unique about St. Mary's is it's different than bigger schools. I also oversee recreation here at the college. Obviously, we've got a beautiful rec center that we just opened in March. But recreation includes intramurals. It includes, we have 12 club sport programs, including rugby and men's lacrosse and water polo, so different club sports. So there's a nice balance of the 12 club sports, the recreation side, and also the 17 varsity Division I athletic programs. At St. Mary's, as many of you know, we're part of the West Coast Conference. West Coast Conference is similar to like institutions outside of BYU. I know this is on camera. We don't like BYU. No. Outside of BYU, it is similar to like institutions, faith-based, smaller private schools, for the most part non-football. We've had several coaches have the opportunity to leave St. Mary's. Some of them have. Many of them have decided to stay, and a lot of my time is spent on making sure securing those head coaches. The other piece I spend an awful lot of time with is resources, and it's resources that are allocated to the department. St. Mary's, we have just about a $15 million athletic expenses. We spend about $15 million. That includes athletic grant and aids, so scholarships. So of that $15 million, about six and a half of it is based on financial aid. Those are scholarships given to the student athletes. The other portions are the operating budget and compensation. So I have to spend a lot of time ensuring that we're utilizing and maximizing those resources. That $15 million is, out of 10 schools in the WCC, is the 9th least, I guess is the best way to say it. So there's 8 other schools that spend more than we do, so which makes it even more critical that we're very efficient and we maximize the resources we do have. Question?
What school's close?
Portland. So that's a big piece of it. The other piece is revenue generation. So generating revenues, that can be everything from fundraising, which is a primary source of revenue generation. That's interacting with donors, with boosters, soliciting support and gifts for the athletics program, whether that's for a new building. The rec center is a perfect example of that, or we're doing an expansion to McCune Pavilion. That's a big portion of that. Or whether it's just annual giving to support scholarships or support operating budget needs. So fundraising is a big part of that. Other types of revenue generation is corporate sponsorships. If you guys walk up to McCune Pavilion, you'll probably see signage of, whether it's Ruth Chris or Muscle Milk or Pepsi. Those are our corporate partners that we're essentially giving signage and advertising for support for the programs. One of the most major corporate partnerships that we've done over the last 6 months is Under Armour. We just completed a 7-year agreement with Under Armour to outfit all of our teams, provide financial support to the college and to the athletics program, and there's a lot of time that I spent in terms of negotiating that type of deal. So that's a big piece. So I spent a lot of time there. And then lastly, but certainly not least, I spent a lot of time making sure student athletes have a positive experience. And positive experience in my eyes is threefold. It's one, first and foremost, are to have a quality academic experience. And St. Mary's College, and we're probably different than some other schools, but we have in athletics, we have a 94% student athlete graduation success rate, which is one of the highest in NCAA Division I. It's the second highest in the state of California. Stanford is the only one that's higher. So our student athletes are doing well in terms of graduating, and we want to make sure we recruit student athletes who are here for the right reasons and are committed to the classroom. The reality is, for every Matthew Delvedova or Patty Mills or Brian Byrne or all those guys that are getting opportunities to play professionally, the majority of our student athletes are going to have to leave St. Mary's and get into a career field that may be outside of athletics. So we want to make sure they're having an outstanding, positive academic experience. Second piece is the athletic experience. It's Division I athletics. We want to win. And make no mistake about it, we are going to do everything we can to compete at the highest level of Division I. We play, actually in men's basketball this year, we play Cal, we play Stanford. We're going to play UCLA in sports. We're going to play Notre Dame in sports. So we want to compete at the highest level we can in Division I athletics. And I do everything I can to provide that positive athletic experience as we possibly can. That goes into facilities that support those student athletes, to staffing models, athletic trainers, strength coaches, all those types of things. Scholarship support, we have enough scholarships to dole out, recruiting budgets, team travel budgets, so all the things that go into giving them a positive athletic experience. And then lastly, there is a social experience. This is college. I want the student athletes to have a good experience here at St. Mary's and be a well-rounded person. You know, our student athletes do community service in the community, whether it's visiting children's homes or reading programs in the community or doing clinics with Special Olympians. We try to provide them career opportunities, internships, all those types of things. So we want to get them outside of the classroom and out on off the court or the field or the water, give them that positive experience off the field. Okay? Challenges that we face here at St. Mary's, and as you guys have studied or will study this term, the landscape of NCAA Division I athletics continues to evolve and continues to change. St. Mary's College is one of 330 plus Division I institutions, and the diversity of those programs are very, very different. We look much different than Ohio State. Ohio State has an athletics operating budget of close to $150 million a year that they spend on athletics. St. Mary's College as an institution spent $120 last year. So imagine that the athletic program in Ohio State spends more on athletics than our whole college spends on operating the whole institution. So, and there may be times that St. Mary's College in sport compete against Ohio State. So how do we as a Division I membership make it competitive and have competitive equity when there's such a diversity in institutions and athletic programs? So that's an absolute challenge. The other challenges from our end is economics. Just the economic climate, not just in athletics, but in general. We just went through in the state of California, a pretty significant economic downturn. When I cited earlier $15 million that we spent on athletics at St. Mary's, an institution somewhere around $120 million in terms of total expenses, $125 million total expenses. That's a large percentage of the institution's budget that is committed to athletics and being successful.
We'll let you go, actually.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate your guys' time. I didn't bring my business cards, but I recognize several familiar faces. Professor Williams has my information, so if any of you are interested in just meeting with me one-on-one, or quite frankly, if you're interested in getting into this type of industry, I was in your guys' place at one point. man, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call, or set up a meeting with me, or have coffee, or pick up an internship. I always tell students, the worst thing you can do is not take the initiative.